Welcome to the Heart of Giving. Our program, as you know, is about the nonprofits. And as you look around the city and you think of the nonprofits, sometimes you don't think of the arts. And the arts are nonprofit because anything they make goes directly back into making sure that we have the arts. And so today we have one of the things in the city of Long Beach that some of you don't know about that's really a hidden jewel. It's something that we've had for years and years and years and years. However, there have been a couple of directors for many years that have left us. And we have someone that I feel so proud of for the Long Beach Opera. And Andreas Midasek, I'm so glad you're here. It's so nice to see you.
Wonderful to be here, Beverly.
Yeah, I just love it because I think you've done so much for our city. And sometimes it's a secret. People don't know that this form is exciting. It's palatable.
It is.
And it brings us to a level in the arts that many cities don't have. So I want to know first about you, and then we'll talk about the opera. How long have you been in Long Beach?
Well, I came to Long Beach the first time in 1997, I believe, as a conductor to the Long Beach Opera. I'm from Vienna originally,
Yes.
And I still remember when we met in your office, and I had a little bag of coffee from Vienna, because I remember you have spent some time in Vienna.
Yes, went to school there for a long time ago, a long, long time ago.
Well, but you know,
But
once there,
I
you're always
loved the
there.
music. I love Viennese music. Okay, now we'll get to you.
So I studied music in Vienna, and I actually heard about Long Beach Opera, believe it or not, in Vienna.
Huh.
So when I came to the US, it was one of the first places I went to introduce myself to my predecessor. And one thing led to the other, and I was very intrigued what Long Beach Opera did, which is very unique in the opera community, but also in the arts community, in the whole US. So Long Beach Opera has championed unusual works, unknown works, and really has been a part of the Long Beach community since 1979.
So you knew from our beginning in 1979 till what, 1997?
Well, 1979, the opera company was founded.
Yes.
I came here first time in 1979 as a
Okay.
conductor, and then in 2003, I became the general director.
I see.
After my predecessor retired, and so it's been it seems like a century that I've been here.
So was it a change to come to Long Beach from Vienna?
Well, it's a change, but I think what I find exciting here, that it is a community that embraces the arts, that it is really a community fabric that is also made better through the arts. All the things that we have, symphony, the theaters, the museums, and an opera company. Now, opera companies, for some people, sounds a little scary because opera...
Yeah, because they don't understand opera, or they don't understand opera.
Well, I think, we do most of our performances in English, and I like to redefine the word opera as an acronym. I just think these are experiences that are outside the box, provocative, engaging, relevant, and adventurous. That's what we do. Long Beach Opera performs all over the city. We perform at the Center Theater. We performed at the Belmont Pool many years ago. We performed in the parking garage of the City Hall.
I know, I remember that.
You remember that?
Oh yes, my goodness. That was a shock. I thought they're going to do what? Where?
But I think, becoming part of our city and exploring the spaces in our city and bringing relevant stories. I think, telling a story with great music, that's what we do. So we don't do the big war horses. We do stories that are also, in addition to have great music, really have relevance. So for example, this season we're doing a world premiere, an opera that's called Fallujah. It's about the experience of a Marine in Fallujah, one of the most, terrible battles that happened there, and the struggle with PTSD. And we perform it at the National Guard Armory on 7th Street. So it brings together a location that most people probably haven't been in,
That's
with a
right.
story that affects a lot of families, and helps us to connect to our community in many different ways.
You know, the word opera scares people because they think, well, I won't say everybody, it certainly doesn't, but they think it's something that they don't understand and they can't understand the words, and it's dramatic, and until I had some exposure, quite a bit of exposure, it certainly changes your attitude towards it. How can we make it more like it's part of the daily vocabulary, like drama, or a play or something? What?
I think that's a great point. I think the experience or the perception that many people have of opera is very different than at least what Long Beach Opera does, as you know, because going into spaces that are everyday spaces that people go to swim in,
Yes.
or park their cars,
Yes.
or go on the shores to see that beautiful view that we have behind us when we did an opera outdoors, looking towards the city skyline. I think these are places that people are, going to, but often they can't relate it to an arts
Their life,
experience. So we bring stories that relate
Now, when you
to
say
this.
we, Long Beach Opera brings stories that.
Long Beach Opera brings stories that are outside the box, that are relevant, that are engaging, that are provocative, that are adventurous. And I think, just come and try it. It's not scary at all. It's in English. It's a great group of people who comes. It's curious
I know.
people who want to experience something
Absolutely.
different. And so it's not just a performance, but it's also the social experience of getting together and seeing something in a space that you probably never have been to and never have seen an opera or a music theater play in many instances as we do.
And I know that people that like opera and know opera will go to great lengths to be there.
They do. We have, our subscriber base. It's very interesting. Long Beach is a big, subscriber base, but Long Beach Opera draws a lot of people from outside. So we have people from San Diego, Los Angeles, all over the place, Orange County. We have even subscribers who fly in from Seattle,
No.
San Francisco, Oakland. Someone is driving in from Arizona. So it really shows that Long Beach Opera is an attraction for people to come and also explore our city,
And how do they even know about it? Is there an opera network?
Well, there is a great network. LA Times writes about it. National
Oh.
Opera News write about it. So there is a lot of buzz outside of our city that really, draws people to come.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned about the Los Angeles Times because it's got to be maybe a year ago. I don't even remember what the production was, but I opened up the LA Times, and on the front of the calendar section was a half a page about the Long Beach Opera. And I thought, that's the most publicity Long Beach has had for anything on the front page of the calendar section. Do you remember?
Actually,
What was the production?
It was an opera about Marilyn Monroe.
Ah,
Yes.
well, I saw that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's, I think that's another example of actually how much attraction Long Beach Opera has. And I think that, people come to see something they cannot see anywhere else. Opera lovers, because they like to see more of different operas, and people who have never been to an opera who will experience Long Beach Opera as something completely different.
Well,
from-
that particular production had a artistic set and lighting set that was totally unique that I hadn't seen used to bring a point in where you go to this episode and then it brings you back to this episode and
Yeah, we used actually video and film. Marilyn
That's right,
Monroe, one
that's
of
right,
the
that's
biggest movie stars of all times. So playing with filming actually part of the opera and projecting it, so almost like a film in a film of of Marilyn Monroe was very powerful. But as an example, you know, the City Hall parking garage, as you remember,
Yes.
we used it to tell the story about Anne Frank. It was a wonderful piece about Anne Frank, and I wanted to find a space that was relevant to the experience for the audience
my,
in
yes.
some relation that Anne Frank had in an attic.
That wasn't
you know.
comfortable.
It wasn't comfortable, but neither was an attic to spend 2 years
No,
in a
I'm not
place.
saying it wasn't comfortable for the audience, but I mean the
Yes.
setting was.
Yeah. It was meant to draw you and your, you know, your experience as an audience member to kind of reflect on what that experience for that little girl was. Or when we did the opera in the swimming pool in the Belmont Plaza
Oh, that
pool.
was quite a while ago.
That was in 2008 and 2010.
Yeah.
It was a story of Orpheus, and it all involved the water. So the opera was happening in the pool as a journey through the water. So I think, you know, we have used quite a few locations that made Long Beach feature in all its different aspects.
Well, you've been here how long now?
Oh, well, it's like 12 years.
My goodness.
Yeah.
It's gone fast.
It's gone fast, but it's still like yesterday. I think the excitement that I see in our audiences when they come,
And it's growing.
and it's growing. We have gone from 2 productions when I came here to 4 to 5 throughout the year, and in all different locations. So I'm very excited to still be here.
And you're not just in Long Beach.
I'm not just in Long Beach. Actually, I'm also the general director of Chicago Opera Theater, so I go between both cities.
And do you have them do the same productions as
We
in each
we
one?
collaborate on productions. So once a year, a production that starts in Long Beach goes to Chicago, and sometimes it
Vice
goes the
versa,
other
huh?
way. So you know, Chicagoans hear about Long Beach and its opera company every year, and I think our dedication to our city here is already in the name, Long Beach Opera.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, it's the background that you have had, which I'd like you to talk a little bit about before you came to Long Beach, has made you ready. And I'm glad that you came here actually before you came to Chicago, because this was the breath of fresh air we needed. So tell us about, before you came to Long Beach, what musical did you do, or what?
Well,
did you do operas?
Yes, I did. I have to say, full disclosure, I didn't like opera. So I always like to say, I don't like opera.
What did you like?
The way it's usually done.
okay.
So I thought you have
Okay.
to get into the
Okay,
business to
okay.
change the business and change what you want to see on stage. So for me, the theatrical component with the music was very important. No stand and sing, no, you know, old-fashioned approach to things. So I had founded an opera company in Vienna doing a similar thing. That's how I started liking opera, because I found there was a way to create a fresh approach and bring something really relevant to it. And you know, then I started coming actually as a conductor to the US. I conducted in Europe at different opera houses. And then I started in the US. First was Long Beach Opera as a conductor, and then other opera companies. And I found really the most interesting repertoire and the most interesting stories were produced here in Long Beach. And that's what made me then, you know,
So our previous director had that same philosophy.
had the same philosophy. When it started in 1979, it was a more traditional company. And then Los Angeles company started, which is only 25 years old. So remember, Long Beach Opera is much older than LA Opera. We are the oldest opera company in this region here.
And I probably shouldn't say this, but I have a feeling that we've had fewer directors too, because they've stayed longer.
Well, I'm
Should
only
I?
the second.
That's
I'm
what
only the second.
That's what I mean. But in LA, I don't think they've. I think they've had more than 2.
They probably have more than 2, which, you know, is
Which
fine.
means nothing, I guess. But all of a sudden, I like the fact that this solidarity of continuing and that's one of the reasons you probably came here is because the previous director.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
Michael
was-
Milensky, my
he was-
predecessor.
Milensky, he was so well known.
Yeah, he was here for 25 years. You know, I think he started the company from nothing and brought it artistically to a place where I then, you know, could take over and build on this. And we have over the last 12 years.
If you could think of one that gave you the most satisfaction, is there one that stands out in your mind that was so different or so innovative that you want to do it over and over?
Oh, well, this is like asking
I know.
who is
Which
your favorite,
child?
which child?
Yeah.
But I think one of the productions I really enjoyed was Maria de Buenos Aires, which was an operetta by Astor Piazzolla, the famous tango composer. And the way we did it was retelling the story through the lens of the dirty war of the 1970s in Argentina. So, you know, it became a story of relevance, and it became, you know, with the beautiful music,
Oh,
the
beautiful.
painful music that is in there, it was just very powerful for the audience to sit. We also used Gregorio Luke, one of our
Oh, yes.
great local
he's,
attractions.
Isn't he doing wonderful work?
Oh, he's
Yeah.
the murals under the stars,
Uh-huh,
his lectures, and he's such a passionate speaker.
I know.
So he was part of the performance. And
Gregorio was with Mola
yes, he was
before he went out.
he was the director of Mola, and so Maria de Buenos Aires was
Oh,
his
yeah.
first
Oh, yeah.
appearance as an actor on stage, and I
First,
was
I
very
didn't know
proud
that.
of that. We also took that to Chicago 2 years later.
And did you
so-
take Gregorio with you?
Yes, we did.
Oh, did you really?
Yes.
was
He had
gonna-
the best time.
I bet he did. And what is our reputation when you're looking for your cast?
Lots of people love to come to Long Beach Opera, even if we cannot, you know, pay the fees like LA Opera pays. But we have a lot of great recognized stars and also a lot of young and upcoming singers. And the attraction for them to be here is that we have a very curious and wonderful audience, and we do things they don't get to do otherwise. And let's face it, in January being in Long Beach versus New York has also its
What would you
advantages.
choose? Yeah. Well, you know, the fact also that you don't have to have 600 people in the room doing a classical opera would draw the younger people to want to perform.
Yeah, and I think, you know, we also try to use more intimate locations and performances so the audience gets more engaged in the performance itself. And I think also, you know, someone said, yes, people pay ticket price to come and see it, and sometimes they are surprised that even though they pay money, that still this is a nonprofit that is asking for money. But there is, you know, it's an expensive art form.
I know.
And we want to do it, and we want to bring it and keep the ticket prices low. So that's where fundraising kind of makes up for the rest.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point to make because, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, people don't think of the arts as nonprofits, but they're not in it for money making. They're actually in it for bringing life to the community through the arts. And so it's not that they're, you know, in business. They're actually doing something that perpetuates itself, that makes our lives better.
Right. You know, it in some ways it's we are a place when you go to the hospital, you have a heart problem. You get help there. I think when you come to the arts, it's also a place to feed your soul, to heal your heart in many different ways. So, you know, the mental aspect of it and the whole aspect of enriching your life that goes just beyond eating, making money, and feeding everyone around you. So I think there is a big part
Oh, yes.
that the arts have.
Oh, absolutely. Oh,
Think about one
absolutely.
day
Absolutely.
in the city without any arts to experience. It
I
would
don't want to
be-
think about
It
that.
would be terrible.
Absolutely. Yeah, it brings an element to your life that you don't really realize changes you, but it does.
Yes, it does.
You know, whether it's drama or music or our opera.
And yeah, we see it. It's so wonderful to see it in the faces of the audience
Mm-hmm.
when they come to an experience and they come away talking and thinking about it for
Mm-hmm.
weeks and months sometimes. Something that really makes them think and sometimes reconsider some parts of their, you know, perspectives about life.
What do you do? This is getting to be just. What do you do about raising money? I mean, I know that. Well, I get all kinds of things saying, "Please come to this" or something, "Come to that." But do you do some big thing where members of the community can come that wouldn't come?
Well, we
'Cause
do a big gala once a year where we invite everyone. This year it's November 7th, actually at the Hotel Mai, which is a great view of our city line. That's a way to come together, celebrate Long Beach Opera, raise some money for what we do, including a big education program. You know, it's one of the things.
I forgot to ask you that. What is your
Educating
outreach?
and also introducing the youngest generations into the arts.
How do you do it?
We have in-school performances of the Diary of Anne Frank, which is to high schoolers, where we also bring a Holocaust survivor to speak about her experience. We bring students to the performances. And this year we're starting a new program for elementary school kids on the playground, an opera on the playground. So I think,
They're at least going to know the word opera.
well, they need to start early.
Yeah, that's
I think.
right.
So there, you know, we have reached over 27,000 children since we started our program about 10 years ago.
So you have a school outreach.
We have a school outreach, and we bring children of all ages, you know, introduce them in a very different way to the performing arts, with music, with stories that they really haven't heard or seen about, and bringing them into places sometimes that are just so cool, like a warehouse in Big Spinolls. You know, we
my.
had students there, and they were just surprised.
Yeah, where are
Opera.
we? Where are we?
In a warehouse.
Yeah. Well, sometimes the students are surprised at the auditorium even.
Yes, they are.
You know, with the seats that go up and down and the lights and just that's exciting. So I'm delighted for that. Good for you.
Yeah.
If people want to get in touch with you, I know you have an office here in the city where I've been several times, and you have people busy and they're doing all kinds of things.
Well, it takes a lot of work behind the stage
Absolutely.
during performances and during the off season to make it all happen. You know, for raising the money, for
And keeping up with your subscribers.
informing our subscribers, making sure they come back, letting them know about all the wonderful new things that are coming up.
If I was listening to this, where would I find your schedule so I would even know what was happening?
LongBeachOpera.org. Just put in Long Beach Opera and you'll find out everything.
Is that right?
That is right, LongBeachOpera.org.
Yeah. Did I forget something? I'm so glad you mentioned the education, because I would have forgotten. I got so enthralled in the rest of it that as we close this, that you'd like to impart before we run out of time.
Well, I think I'm grateful that Long Beach as a city is embracing all its cultural organizations, and that, you know, if you look at cities of this size, not every city has all
an
these
opera.
different arts organizations, including an opera company.
That's right.
And besides being just an opera company, having an opera company that was just awarded by LA Weekly the best experimental opera company of 2015.
No, I didn't know that.
So
Where was that?
LA Weekly, it just came out a week ago.
Oh, for heaven's sake. In
And-
LA Weekly.
Yeah, I think that's a great recognition also about
Absolutely.
who and what the city is.
I think I would have started with that had I known that. That's
I'm glad we got it in.
Great accolade, absolutely. Well, Andreas, I'm so glad to see you, and I haven't seen you for a while, and you look good, and it looks like life's still good, and you don't look exhausted from going from one end of the country to the other. So thank you very much for being here in Long Beach.
It's exhilarating to be here and doing what we do. Thank you, Beverly.
That's right. It's
Thank
nice
you.
to see you. Thank you very
Wonderful.
much. And thank you very much for watching. And I'm sure that you found out a few things today that you didn't know before. And we have something in our community that we should treasure. And that's many of things, but the Long Beach Opera is one of them. Thank you very much for watching.